What's going on, y'all? So I'm gonna be honest. There's an agenda going on, and it's too important for us not to talk about. So let's just go ahead and get into it.
See a good example in it in one of my favorite shows on Netflix that has become the topic of conversation amongst a lot of people, particularly in Black homes, is this series Forever, which is a beautiful story of young love in a Black neighborhood, and it is not traumatic, and bad things don't happen.
It's just regular kids.
It's just regular kids, right, that reflects all of our lives in real ways. And I know you watched some of that, and Barack, you are well aware of it. But you know, the show has created a lot of conversation in terms of how do you raise emotionally intelligent boys, and what we get right and what we get wrong. Not just among boys, but kids in general.
Yeah, we watched it as a family. We watched the whole series as a family, and enjoyed it a lot. It was really fun to hear the boys talk about, oh, you guys would have done that, or you guys wouldn't have done that. That was eye-opening as a parent.
Yeah.
You know, because
they're evaluating you.
They've got
the little checklist.
They're evaluating our parenting, or they're evaluating their parenting based on their own.
That's the crazy. That's the crazy thing Dad would do.
Yeah. And it's so
funny, that's the craziest thing that it would do. That it would do.
And the other show that people are talking about, Adolescence, which I haven't watched yet, it gets into sort of the misogyny that young boys are exposed to,
and the online, you know,
the Manosphere.
They're getting their parenting.
They're getting their
online.
Parenting.
They're getting their notions of manhood from.
There we go. Here we go. Because this is going to be key number one. This is going to be key number one of a very important conversation. And I'm sorry. It has to be had. The conversation has to be had.
Extremists.
Yeah, extremists.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Okay. So when we're talking about these extremists, right, we know that they're obviously talking about the Manosphere, right? And I'm going to go more in depth on this later, because this honestly is not the point that I'm trying to make right now. But if you notice the manipulation tactics that, you know, these left-wing, these progressive-minded people, they tend to use these shaming tactics to try to shame things like the Manosphere, even just having conservative or traditional values, which in turn would in line with more masculine ideology, right? So you have these people who sit there and then they say, oh, well, you know, these men, oh, they're going on the internet and they're learning and they're looking for replacement dads, and then they're basically being taught and raised online, and oh, it's such a big problem because these people that are raising them online, they're extremists, and oh, and they're hurt, and oh, they hate women, and oh, they do this, they're misogynists, oh, they all this kind of stuff, right? And even though nobody wants to talk about just the blatant daily misandry that we're exposed to as men, but you know, I get it. We're men. We're just supposed to deal with that. Nobody cares about that, right? But either way, so when they talk about the Manosphere, I just want to challenge you to this. 7 times out of 10, ask them what they believe the Manosphere is, and I guarantee you 7 times out of 10 that they're not going to be able to give you an accurate representation of what the Manosphere is. The truth of the matter is, the Manosphere, for the good and all the bad, yes, some things become corrupt, some things lose its intended purpose, but essentially at its core, the Manosphere is a collection of men who are striving to be better, striving to do better, striving to understand how the world works, how women work, how money works, how business works, and then trying to learn how to play the game, and then passing that game on to others so that other men don't have to suffer and go through the mistakes that they went through. That is essentially what the Manosphere is at its core. Now, has it fallen off? Is it the same as it was when Angry Man and Kevin Samuels and all them were in their prime and they were really going at it? You know what I mean? No, I don't know. I'm not as deep into it as I used to be, but I just cannot stand. I cannot stand sitting there and listening to people just paint a false narrative of what the movement is, because it's not true. Anything that has anything to do with uplifting or pushing men forward is demonized, and it's pathetic. It's shameful. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Are there some extremists in the Manosphere? Yes, but that is not a representation of the movement. Now, like I said, is the movement itself in the best state right now? I mean, that's subjective. If it's helping men avoid things like heartbreak, avoid things like being used, being manipulated, being leached for their resources, all these types of things. If it helps men avoid that, then doesn't the good outweigh the bad? I mean, let's just be honest. Because a lot of these people that have a problem with the Manosphere, their solutions aren't helping. Their solutions aren't making men feel better. Their solutions aren't easing the stress and easing the turmoil, the quiet, silent turmoil that men have to deal with, that's literally shortening their lifespans. But nobody wants to talk about those types of things, right? Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. But, what are we going to do about it? Like I said, I mean, this wasn't supposed to be a Manosphere video, but at the end of the day, people have to really understand. You don't understand or have a correct, accurate representation of what the Manosphere is. So in truth, you really don't need to be speaking on it. I remember there was a post somebody made, since we in here now, might as well just go all the way in. There was a post. And on this post, the guy was basically criticizing men who ask women what they bring to the table, because a real man is not going to want a woman to bring her money to the table. A real man is not going to want her woman to or want his woman to do anything. You're going to do everything. You're going to take care of that. And you know what? That's all fair and dandy, right? But let's go ahead and just pull it up just so I don't get to line. Now, let's go ahead and look at the post. The dude says, a man asking a woman what she brings to the table is lame as F. As a man, you should only need a woman to take care of your sensitive side, your emotions when you mad. Keep your head clear so you can keep rolling. Needing a woman to provide anything else is crazy. Step your manhood up. Now, this is the thing. Inherently, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. A man should not need a woman or be leaning or relying on a woman for anything. The only thing we technically do need women for is to make us feel better. That's the truth. I'm not saying it in a misogynistic way. I'm just here to tell the truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. It's the truth. We only need them for the emotional aspect, because guess what? While we're out here battling the world, sometimes we need to recharge our batteries. I get that. I respect that. What I have a problem with is the idea that is what red pill content, or that is what the Manosphere content is really about, when in reality it's not. It's not. The only men that I know that are looking for women that to rely on the woman to support them are broke. Let's just be real. Only broke so let's just eliminate them from the equation. Besides broke, guys, most men, when they are talking about what do you bring to the table, ninja, what you said in the message is what she's bringing to the table. Can she keep you calm? Can she cool your head off when you're about to crash out? Is she making your life easier? Is she taking stress away, or is she adding to it? That's bringing something to the table. Will she cook you your favorite meal when you're down because of work? Golly, will she give you a little extra fellatio just because? These are the types of things that men are talking about when they're talking about bring to the table. Can I take you out to a networking event and you go out there and make some connections and get the family some freaking money? These are what we're talking about when we say, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? What do you have to offer? Even if you look in the Bible, the women in the Bible, they still had something to offer. And very rarely was it ever resources. Very rarely was it resources. So the idea is just disingenuous that when men say, what do you bring to the table? By default, that's broken lane. That is what I have an issue with. And people need to understand that when you're talking about the manosphere with these people, when you're talking about red pill content, 7 to 8 times out of 10, they do not have an idea of what the manosphere or red pill content is about. So when you tell them, or when you're going back and forth with them, ask them, do you have a problem with uplifting men so that they don't have to go through the same mistakes as other men? Because that is essentially what red pill content is at its core. What is the red pill? To be enlightened. It's about enlightenment. It's about enlightenment. That's just what it is. Now, you can feel how you want to feel about it, but I'm not here to pacify people's feelings right now. It just is what it is.